they can't stay away from each other too long. But there's some friction in the process of then trying to figure out what it's gonna be between them.
I'm super excited for everyone to get season 2. We're picking this season up right where we left off. There's a mysterious text that comes in. Clearly things are not going back to normal. What can you tell us about what is coming next?
Yeah, well, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We really,
of course.
Expecting in season 2, I think we're going to expect a lot more drama and thrill and suspense, and I think they've really upped the stakes with season 2. And you know, for the Nateman fans, I really think we do see their relationship, like, without giving too much away, like deep and develop. And I think we almost see sort of more tension and complications that they have to work through as a couple, which is amazing.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how are Bronwyn and Nate going to kind of navigate this next chapter? Because I had a feeling that, you know, things aren't done for good. It's too good to wrap it up in season 1.
100. They can't stay away from each other too long. But there's some friction in the process of then trying to figure out what it's going to be between them, because also they're dealing with, you know, someone threatening them basically every day of their lives, and like hiding something as grave as like having murdered someone. So it plays out very interestingly. And I think that I would say that they really mature in the way that they interact with one another, because they're having to deal with like real grown up and like scary stuff. So it almost makes them just have to be very honest with one another and look out for one another. And I think that also applies for, you know, the whole group, the baby 4, Janae, Maeve.
Yeah, everyone. I mean, how is everyone going to handle this next kind of threatening chapter? I feel like there's a lot of different reactions that are going to spark. I'm not sure how well they're all going to work together.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think they've definitely developed a larger sense of friendship and camaraderie. I think there's more trust, but at the same time, like, they do have to be very, very careful. And I think once you go through a certain level of, I guess, struggle that they did in season 1, I think they're able to handle it. And especially at the end of season 1 too, I think they're able to handle the sort of obstacles and trials and tribulations that are to come in season 2. And they have to, you know, it's very much relatable too. Like, the friendships that they develop and like working together with one another is so important, and it's really great to see. And I think as for Bronwyn and Nate too, they do have to learn to work together and work through their own stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. I think they learned that working together is way better. Like Bru was saying, is way better than working alone. Because I feel like they're big personalities. They each want to try and solve the problem or the issue on their own and, like, you know, with speed. But everything works out best when they stick together and kind of have like a joint plan. So we'll see some of that this season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of as a cast, you're coming back together, you're rejoining the crew after for a second season. What was it like coming back together to film season 2 after already kind of bonding during the first season?
It was surreal. It was an amazing experience for season 1. And I think the opportunity to get for season 2 it was just a blast, a pinch me sort of moment. I think that first table read, it was it was a buzz and it was exciting, and I think we were all pretty like ready to rock and roll for a season 2.
Yeah, it was great. And we got to work with pretty much the same crew that we had season 1. Mm-hmm. So it was just like a big family reunion. We couldn't really celebrate wrapping season 1 because of COVID last season. So to be able to see them again and like actually finish a season in New Zealand with them and celebrate it was like just times 1,000 what a season 2 wrap would be like. So that was very, very special.
Yeah, we were literally wrapping like season 1 and 2 when we wrapped season 2.
Right.
The work. So yeah, it was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. And we've got some newcomers coming in this year too. That we've got Jake's brother. We've got this new girl Fiona coming in. How are they going to shake things up?
Coming in hot.
Oh, they're shaking things up for us.
Yeah.
Oh, like,
coming in hot.
Yeah, be ready. Get ready.
I'm excited. And, as we kind of move forward in this mystery, are you guys reading the scripts and trying to figuring it out by yourself as you're coming along? Or do you know from the start? How does that work for you as actors?
You want to take that away?
Yeah. We don't know much until almost when we're ready to shoot. So like everyone, I feel like we kind of go through a period where we're reading and we're like, oh my gosh, this is what's going to happen. And then you kind of get to go and shoot it. And like for some scenes that works like fantastic because you have that like element of just like organic acting and your reaction to it is so like fresh. And then for other things, it's good to have a journey, but we basically get the scripts almost when it's time to shoot. So it's,
Yeah, I think
it's an interesting process.
It is interesting. I kind of like the element of surprise, like getting the scripts maybe a couple of weeks before like shooting. I think like learning the lines as we go. It's kind of, I mean, we were learning lines like on the day of shooting. Like we're like. Oh, wow. Like just rehearsing our lines, like let's go. And I think there's something like cool and exciting about that. But at the same time, you do want to have the scripts in advance so you know your character arc. And so there were times where we got the scripts kind of in advance and we're able to like sort of read through and develop the character arc. But
and it's really cool to like theorize about. Sorry.
No, you go.
It's good to like theorize about what you think is going to happen with the characters and like in the season. So we're very much fans, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We were waiting to see what happened with Bronwyn and Nate.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, when like something happens, like whoo.
Yeah.
I love this without revealing too much. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know that we're also big fans. I can't wait for everyone to see the second season. It's great, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. So we're picking up this season right where we left off. We've got a mysterious text. Clearly things are not going back to pre-murder club normalness. Can you each tell me a little bit about how your character is going to handle what's coming next and how that's going to mesh with the rest of the murder club?
Janae's the newest member of this group of 5. I don't think they totally know where they fit in the dynamic. I think Janae and Bronwyn specifically have a very similar way of dealing with things. They both like to think that they're right. They're both very smart. They're both very calculated. So certainly at the beginning of this season, we're going to see them butting heads and them have differing ideas of how to handle this.
Yeah. What about you, Annalisa? I know, Addy's clearly dealing with a lot of complicated feelings this season.
Yeah. She definitely, she's jumping into this season with so much guilt and so much stress from feeling like she caused this entire situation to herself, but also to this new group of friends. And so, she's about to go, we're about to see her go on such a roller coaster of emotion as she tries to suppress it and then ultimately can't. And it's going to be I'm excited for people to see how she kind of deals her way and digs her way out of what she's created for herself.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chib, what about Cooper? How is he going to handle all of what's to come?
Yeah, I think Cooper feels like the walls are closing in around him. So I think there'll be a lot of stress there. And as he navigates his career and navigates the fact that he was there when what happened to Jake happened. So I think there's a lot of pressure there. And I think there's almost this want to get away and distance himself from Murder Club because nothing seems to go right when they're all together.
That's very true. Now, there are still a lot of questions about the night that Jake was killed. Are we going to get more of what happened, or is that just going to be kind of something that fans are left to wonder more about?
I think it's fair to say that questions will be answered about that night.
Questions will be answered. Truths will be revealed.
Yes.
And it seems like truths are going to be revealed by kind of a new player who is entering the game, who is sending the text, and that's going to be the big mystery. Can you each tell me a little bit about what is to come this season? Can you tease it for people who are going to tune in?
Yeah, definitely new players have entered or maybe always been in Bayview, and we just didn't know. And I think a lot of secrets from season 1 are answered. but then also a lot more secrets are presented.
I love it. It's delightfully vague. It's enough to get us excited for what's to come. And it's a super fun season. We get a lot more from each of your characters. And Jess, can you tell me a little bit about the journey that Janae is coming on this season? I know that 𝐒𝐲 shippers are all out in full force.
Yeah, I think, Janae's new to this group and almost new to having friends other than Simon. So I think that Janae's trying to figure out where they fit in the group and in their own life. I think Janae goes on a bit of a journey in terms of family this season and in terms of gender. And then, of course, Janae and Maeve there's as much drama as ever.
Right. Keeping the shippers fed. And how was that for you, portraying a character who is really going on such a journey of self-discovery?
It was really fun, I will also say, like, it was harder than I expected it to be just because it is so close to me. I think that I kind of like went into it being like, oh, whatever, like, it's fine. But I think that there's an interesting challenge as an actor when you're playing a role for so long that it does start to feel, at least for me, quite like personally revealing. So I think it was interesting to navigate that this season, but I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that everyone who's like queer and questioning gender gets to watch this season and see how Janae navigates it. And yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And, as we go into this second season, like you said, everyone's kind of been in their characters for a period of time now. How was it for each of you reinvigorating your characters for a second season, returning to them?
Yeah, honestly, it was pretty exciting because I think at least the first half of this season, you'll see Addy is kind of just like a bundle of emotions. I guess she was a little bit last season, but this season, I think even more, she's trying to suppress so many things. And so it was quite fun because it felt like I was diving back into a character that I knew, but because she was dealing with so much newfound stress and trauma, honestly, physically, emotionally, it felt kind of like a new character, which was a fun new challenge.
Yeah, I enjoyed the familiarity of getting to, bring Cooper back to life. But it was also interesting how, because the dynamics around him have changed a little bit, and the circumstances have changed with him now being out and some things in his personal life, you get to discover new pockets. And I think there's a little bit more of like knowing oneself as a character, which is fun to play around with.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all talking with me. Second season, super fun. I can't wait for everyone to see it. So I am super excited for everyone to see season 2. We are picking this season right up where we left off with a mysterious text. How is the murder club going to hold up under the pressure?
It's not going to be easy. They kind of have a few things really bearing down on them. They have the guilt and fear over what they did on Halloween, and then this added fear of someone knows and having no idea what that's going to mean. What is this person going to want from them? How dangerous is this person? So there's a lot of pressure, and then there's the obvious other questions, like can they trust each other? They don't know each other that well. Like, they kind of just started being friends, and they're definitely nervous about like if someone's going to crack.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the way that you ended the first season and then pick it up, right, that really just launches the second season into the tension. How was that decision made? Was that kind of a no-brainer, or was that something that was really thought about?
Yeah, we knew that we needed to pick up pretty quickly after the end of the season, because I think seeing their reaction to that first text is just something we didn't want to shy away from. We, in the writers' room, we batted around a couple different, like, do we pick up a few days later? Do we pick up a few weeks later? Do we pick up a few minutes later? And ultimately, we just decided it's too exciting not to pick up a few minutes later.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. This whole second season, how was it for you and the rest of the writers really getting to take your own creative journey off with these characters that we've now met?
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I mean, I obviously love the book. I'm the biggest fan of the book. It was such a gift to sort of have this really solid, exciting mystery as the backbone of season one. But you know, it's been fun to grow up with the kids a little this season, to say, you know, they've been through a crazy trauma. That's going to change them. Things are going to get a little darker. And yeah, it's been fun to have the freedom to kind of put them through the ringer a little more.
Yeah. Was there anything that you explored this season that you didn't really get into in the first season? You were like, oh, good, we really get to dig in on this now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think across the board for all of them, looking at the end of the first season, they have all kind of been forced to be honest about who they are. And what the aftermath of that means, you know, like how your friendships change and how your relationships with your family changes when you've sort of said to the world, this is who I really am. Digging deeper on that was something we were all really excited about. And pulling Janae into the group and getting to know Janae better, and, you know, digging deeper into Janae's friendship with Addy and was really fun. And, you know, Janae is exploring their gender identity this season, which was, I think, a great and important story to tell. So yeah, those are some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and kind of having this new journey, but still having One of Us Is Next out there. Did you pull in anything from that book into the second season, or do you have any plans to do anything with that in the future?
You know, we actually didn't. I love One of Us Is Next. But you know, that book jumps forward a few years. It picks up with a whole different cast of characters. And I really wanted to stick with the characters we know, see what happens in the rest of their senior year of high school. So, you know, I think there's just more Bayview content for the world to ingest.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got two new characters who are coming in too. We've got Jake's brother, this new girl, Fiona. What can you tell us about them and how they kind of fit into the puzzle?
Yeah. So Jake's brother is, you know, he's home from college because his family is really reeling from the disappearance, or what they think is the disappearance, of his brother. And he's desperate to find his brother. And also pretty suspicious of kind of everyone around him, like isn't sure he believes the official narrative from the police, and just really wants closure and really wants to know the truth. And Fiona is a character that we actually saw for a split second in the pilot in season one. Simon drops an about her, saying that she stabbed her English teacher on the first day of school at her old school and is transferred into Bayview. Right. And we sort of, you know, all for good reason, we forget about her in season one. And so we pull her back in season two, and she has some sort of surprising interactions with Murder Club, specifically Nate. And we start to get to the bottom of who she really is and what she did at her old school as well.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for everyone to see the second season. It's so much fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you. You too.